Illinois Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you for coming back on the show. I wonder, in the context of the victim impact statement that I just read from Virginia Giuffre's family, what your reaction was when the lawyer for Ghislaine Maxwell said, let's make a deal, let's give her clemency.
I thought that was disgraceful. It was appalling. I've actually introduced a resolution that calls for zero clemency, zero leniency whatsoever, and certainly not a pardon, because she's a monster. Just to kind of level set for your viewers who probably already know this, there were 1,000+ victims of this child sex trafficking ring that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein perpetrated, and those then girls are now middle-aged women, and they haven't received any justice whatsoever over 20 years. And so I think that is what stiffened the resolve on both sides of the aisle to basically get justice for these women and also prevent this from ever happening again by bringing the perpetrators to justice. And that was what I was hoping to get at in this deposition before she kept invoking her Fifth Amendment rights.
Well, tell us a little bit about that, and tell us about what it was like to be in that room, about her demeanor.
It was surreal. I think that, you know, first of all, it didn't look like a prison where she was testifying from. It looked like something, it looked like a dining room or something. It didn't look like, you know, she was in some kind of detainment facility, quite frankly. The other thing I would just say is, you know, I had a bunch of questions that were prepared for her. I wanted to know who else was involved in this conspiracy, what other men were part of this pattern of abuse of girls. I also wanted to know what private institutions knowingly participated in this scheme. And then I also wanted to know what public institutions or prosecutors may have knowingly looked the other way. But unfortunately, she kept invoking her Fifth Amendment rights. Of course, she has that right, but it also points to the fact that there are additional facts that she feels might implicate her in additional crimes, and that's what compels her to take this Fifth Amendment right.
I just a short time ago, about a half an hour ago, Congressman, talked to Marina Lacerda. She is a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein, and she said that what Congress is doing right now is a show, that Ghislaine Maxwell is not to be trusted. She's never going to answer questions. They have complained previously, or said previously, quite outright, that in their experience, what she said to Todd Blanche during his questioning of her was filled with outright lies. And they say the same is going to happen on Wednesday with Pam Bondi. They say we need Congress to take definitive action. Do you hear that when they say that for them, a lot of them, this is more about making a point than taking real action?
I think they're partially right, and I think that's why, for instance, we should hold Pam Bondi in contempt, because the DOJ has not produced all the files that we know are out there. I think millions of pages of documents have yet to be produced, and I think we have to take real action with regard to Bondi and the leadership of DOJ. And then we also have to interview, if not depose, I would say depose Donald Trump, because he has to come before us and cooperate just the same way that we are asking the Clintons and everyone else to do so as well.
Let's talk about the review access for the unredacted versions of the 3 million or so pieces that have come out so far, about half, I think, of what's available. How does that even work? You go into a room, you're not allowed to bring a device, correct? You can take notes. Do you know what you're looking for? Do you have a sense that, okay, these are the pages with redactions that I want to see that are unredacted? How do you even do that without a staff with you? Tell me the approach.
Well, I think one thing is, I in particular am looking for financial records, because I think those financial records allow you to follow the money trail, who paid whom, what, and when. And that helps establish who's been incentivized to participate in this scheme and who actually paid to abuse girls. So I would be looking for that type of information. But you're right that, you know, without staff, without other means of kind of sorting through such a large pile of documents, it would take a lot of time to get to what needs to be reviewed. I would just finally say that I personally think there's a lot that's been redacted that has nothing to do with protecting victim identities. In fact, we see the opposite. In many cases, there's a lot of unredacted information that gives away victim identities. And I often am wondering whether that's intentional somehow, to kind of, it's almost like a brushback pitch to victims to stop clamoring for more information. And that's wrong.
We're out of time, but I want to ask you really quickly. When you go in there, if you find things that, as you say, for example, may lead you down a money trail, are you required, because it is behind closed doors, to keep it quiet, or could you come out and say what you found?
I think it's going to depend on what the reason for the redaction is. But in my particular case, I believe there has to be maximum transparency. That is the whole spirit behind the law at this point. And given that these women haven't received any justice whatsoever, I believe there continues to be a cover-up right now at the highest levels of government.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you for your time, sir. Much appreciated.